Welcome to the Opposition Preview. So, hello everyone and welcome back to the Bleed Norwich YouTube channel. We are back for another Opposition Preview. And tomorrow night it's cup action again for the Canaries as we face Southampton. And today I have Martin, Southampton fan, with us. Martin, how are you today, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. It's good to be here. I've even put the Norwich City colours on the studio wall, especially for you on this Bank Holiday Monday.
Well, thank you very much, of course. But we'll go on to Southampton. It's been
Mm,
a rocky start to the season, I guess, under Will's still.
yeah,
Beating Wrexham, beating Northampton, coming up short at Portman Road. But then again, a point at Portman Road is a very good point, and then
yeah.
losing to Stoke. What are the early signs of Southampton this season?
Toothless. It's the early signs. Yeah, toothless and really, really fragile. We are really fragile, and I don't think anyone's really talking about it. But the hangover from last season and what happened last season, I think it's had a big effect on everyone, not just the fan base. I think it's had an effect on the players. I think people within inside the club. It was a horrific season in the Premier League last year with such a tough time. We only won the two games. We were smashed to pieces, left, right, and centre, home, away, and the fans were patient and they stuck with it when a lot of fans were just walked away and waited for the next season. But they stuck with it to the end. They got incredible support down here on the south coast. Pre-season was always going to be big because there's a huge squad of players, too many players. If we're honest, there's way too many players there. A lot of business had to be done. Well, we're in the final week now, and yeah, it's still not been done. Mateus Fernandez is still at the club, which I didn't think anyone thought he would be. Tyler Dibbling is still there, though there is a deal in place to go to Everton that is not finalised yet, but he go. But they haven't got the players in that still requires, and it's a big issue. We have a terrible track record in recent years of bringing in talent, bringing in players, and the quality that's come through the door has just been way short. To be honest, I don't have any real faith in Johannes Spors, who's the sporting director at this moment in time, or the people that own our club, because they've made some horrendous cock-ups for a long period of time now, and it's finally actually really caught up with the club, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just want to touch back on sort of the hangover from last season. It does seem
Mm,
sort of quite a repetitive sort of sign with a lot of relegated Premier League
mm,
sides, and we've seen it, I think, across all three sides this season with
yeah,
Southampton, Ipswich, and Leicester. It does seem to be a real struggle to sort of get back
yeah.
to that winning culture in a league that you should be dominating, doesn't it?
Yeah, there is a huge hangover. You certainly see it. At Ipswich, I was watching a match vlog actually this morning because I wanted to gain a bit of an insight into what's happening there. I think it's a great way actually now in the new media that we've got a lot of new media. There's an opportunity to look inside other clubs by people like you and me that are fan creators that you can go and get a real through the fans' eyes. And I watched the vlog this morning, and I was actually really surprised to hear what they were saying about Ipswich and about the lack of desire, lack of running, lack of want from their players. And do you know what? Like I've seen that with a few. I thought the Saints players tried really hard at the end on Saturday, but there's a few that you just know that don't want to be there. You just get that hangover. That they think they're better than the club. They think they're better than the division. At the end of the day, like people, our squad, they got 12 points. They're one of the worst Premier League teams ever. 12 points. It's like, that is unbelievable. So nobody's going to be bashing the door down for anybody within our squad. We've had a really rocky start. I look at it, but I'm not surprised at our start when you look at what's come through the door. Like we needed a striker. We've needed one for, since Danny Ings left 4 years ago, 5 years ago. We've ended up with a lad that's been brought in this year, Damien Downs. He's a USA international, Bundesliga 2 last season with FC Cologne. He looks way short at this moment in time. Ross Stewart's hardly played a game of football in 2 years, looks way short. I was very much, if you want to go and win the championship and compete at the top end, you have to go and get proven players. There's a lot of noise around Josh Sargent, and then I put it out on my channels. I'd go get him. I'd do it. I'd try and break the bank and get someone like Josh Sargent to score goals. And Norwich fans hate me for saying it, but I think he's everything we need right now because he's experienced. But we buy kids. we buy promise. It doesn't always work. And Damien Downs is promised. Joshua Kwasi, the centre back, he's promised as well. And it's just like it's not for the here and the now, and that's why we're probably where we are at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because Norwich had sort of a very similar issue last season under Johannes
Mm,
Hoff. It was a case that we were buying players for the future in terms of Oscar Schwartau, Ante
mm,
Siernats, and they didn't really kick on last season.
mm.
And it was very evident that we had two individuals that sort of carried Norwich to that mid-table place in Josh Sargent and Borja Sainz. Um, and it doesn't really work in the Championship because you do need that sort
No.
of the know-how of the league to be able to perform. And like you say, the two players that you brought in, Damien Downs and the centre half, they're not they're just not up to scratch yet.
Yeah, they're just not ready for the division. Joshua Kwasi is young, 21 years old. Damien Downs is still young. There's a long way to go. There's a big difference between Bundesliga 2 and the Championship. We talk about the Championship. It's a physical league, isn't it? It's a tough league. If there's anything I thought our club would have learnt from the last time out in the Championship was that the experience of Shea Adams, you played up front, the physical big centre forward, somebody with a good touch, a good footballing intelligence, a good brain. It can make such a difference to a Championship team that's trying to get up the field because all you want to do is get up the field and you need to get players up the field and you need to transition back to front as quick as you can to beat teams because the pace of it is a lot slower than the Premier League. And if you can come into it and have quick wingers and power and pace out wide, you've got a centre forward that can drop in and have a vision. That's why Saints did all right last time because Adams was, though he didn't score a lot of goals and he did all right in the champ, he's got intelligence. And I think it's a yeah, I think a lot of these sporting directors and people at football clubs they try and be too clever sometimes, and I think you have to look at what Frank Lampard's doing with Coventry City right now. That they've got a well-established Championship squad, Championship players. I'll tell you what, I think they're gonna push all the way. They've got the depth. The likes of Thomas Asante coming, looks a real danger man up front, doesn't he? And I just think it's a tough, brutal league, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And just bringing out Coventry there, they also have barely spent a penny this whole summer.
No.
And I think that's very telling. Their squad, their system hasn't changed over the window. They haven't had to sort of, adapt to a new
Mm,
game plan or so to speak. And it's been sort of very free flowing for them, like from the off. Whereas Southampton and Norwich have obviously had massive change over the summer, and
mm,
it's clearly been a big struggle to the start of the season. We'll go on to tomorrow night's game because I was looking at the lineup from the Northampton game, and as much as there was a few
mm.
changes, the squad was still really, really strong that you put out.
Yeah.
What sort of changes could we expect for tomorrow night?
I think you make a few changes tomorrow. I don't think you make wholesale changes though. I think there's players that probably need a bit of game time now. Like if you look at what started Saturday, and I think who would probably drop out. Like he look after a few players, like Ryan Fraser. He's not probably going to be a 2 game week player. He's been our best player so far. He'll sit that one out tomorrow. Damien Downs, like I was talking about, he needs game time. Ross Stewart needs game time. One of those will start tomorrow. I think Cameron Archer probably gets the nod tomorrow to start. He's not started any of the league games yet. The only game he started was at Northampton. Then I looked through midfield. Shay Charles has been good, but I think he'd probably keep his space. I look at the back. Joshua Kwasi didn't play the weekend. I think he comes back in. Nathan Wood probably needs another game. He'd give him another game. Alex McCarthy probably get a game in goal. I think it'd still be fairly strong. Yeah, I just think it'd be a case of there won't be anybody in the door by then. I don't think we're actually looking at a Norwich goalkeeper from what I read earlier on. Your number two, number three that we look at George Long.
Well, he
We
was
look at
number two last season, but he's currently number five in the pecking order, I believe. Number
yeah,
four or
see,
five. Yeah, he's
yeah,
I can't speak too highly of him. He's not a great goalkeeper.
yeah. No, I saw someone had updated his Wikipedia. Wasn't particularly pleasant what they put on there, but go check it out if you're a Southampton fan and you think he's going to sign. But I don't think the Norwich fans were massively enamoured by him. I don't see anybody in the door by tomorrow. Yuki Sigawara, the right back, he's going out on loan by the looks of it. He's I think I'm not sure where it's been confirmed where he's going, but he is leaving. So I don't think there'll be wholesale change. I think it'll be a strong starting 11 tomorrow. But then you would look on paper and say Adam Armstrong, Damien Downs, Ross Stewart, Cameron Archer, all got. You'd all think, Christ, there's a load of goals there. I'd be fearful of playing them. I'd say not one of them can hit a barn door. Not one of them. They've been dreadful. The strikers in the building so far, there's not one of them that looks like scoring any goals at all. Ross Stewart offside at the weekend, but they a brilliant ball in the box the weekend. He somehow managed to knee it over. It went in row ZZ. And that's how it looks in front of the goals. Adam Armstrong's hit the side netting about three times a weekend. Hit the side netting 5 times against Wrexham. He doesn't look like scoring. So, and we're very toothless in attack at the moment. We don't have a creative midfielders. There's nobody to really pull the strings. But maybe he go into this game and I might think, oh, do you know what? We need to look at how our back four looks. Can we do that on Tuesday night against Norwich? I think it's maybe an opportunity to try a different system because clearly what he's trying at the moment is making us very toothless in attack.
See, that's very similar to what Norwich fans are saying as well in terms of changing the system, going to four at the back.
Mm,
And we think it's a great opportunity for ourselves to do that
yeah.
because five at the back seems to be a real struggle for us at home. We can't seem to really break teams down and
Mm,
we get caught in possession on too many occasions. The 2 goals we gifted to Middlesbrough at the weekend were from our own midfield area. And yeah, it was complete
mm,
capitulation in the space of 2 minutes. But yeah, it was very interesting to hear you sort of speak on the system of Southampton because obviously you guys have gone with a five back, but you want to see how the four back works. Very similar to Norwich at this stage in the
mm,
season. But even just the players that you were naming off there that could play tomorrow, it got me
yeah.
slightly frightened. I can't lie.
Mm,
Obviously, like you say, they're not performing at the minute, but they do have the quality to excel in this division and be some of the top players, even the strikers that you were naming off, like Ross Stewart, Cameron
yeah.
Archer, Adam Armstrong, like they're all top level championship strikers on their day. But at the minute, it just doesn't seem to be clicking for them, does it?
Yeah, it's a worry actually, and maybe you look at Stewart. He was here last year. Archer was here last year. Adam Armstrong, he was here for the Championship campaign last time round. He went out on loan last year at West Brom, deemed not good enough for the Premier League. He's come back. It's just not looked. He's not looked the same player since he's come back, and they're just not clicked. And whether it's a hangover from last season, a scarring from the Premier League, and the mess of last season, I don't know. It's worrying that they're not firing, and I question whether actually, and you think I'm crazy thinking, can we go out and actually get someone in the window that is more suited to the system and more suited to Will Steele? I'm not sure where that striker is. There's a free agent in Ings who used to be a Southampton player. I'd be pretty tempted to take a punt on him right now, to be quite honest, and have that experience. Somebody that knows where the back of the net is and needs to get his career going again. Because he's probably looking for an opportunity somewhere. But I would potentially be looking at a striker right now because I don't see where the goals come. I wouldn't fear that front three or four at all at the moment because there's no one to create, and going front to back seems to be a big issue.
Yeah, no, that is, yeah, no, that is interesting. 'Cause obviously, like I said, when you were naming that front four, it did get me slightly worried. But like you say, they
Mm,
cannot hit a barn door at the minute. But just touching on sort of incomings and outgoings, obviously Tyler Dibbling is the obvious outgoing. He's off to
mm,
Everton potentially before the end of the window. There was a rumor with
mm,
Finn Azaz of Middlesbrough.
mm. Yeah.
Um, do you see that one happening before the end of the window?
Well, they're going to have to cough up 12 million quid if they want him. I was told today that it's going to cost them more than what they've bid. They've gone in with an initial bid of around £8 million for him, but Borough want 12. So if they want him, they're going to have to go and bid a bit more. I think they go back with a second bid. I think he's everything that we probably need in a player right now. We need a 10. We need a creative spark. We were looking at Chat Radoni, but Coventry with that start, he's going to go nowhere. I think he's already made it clear he doesn't want to leave Coventry at this moment in time, and you can't blame him. We're also linked with a guy from the Russian Premier League, Edward Spartsian, really creative midfielder, plays in the 10. He'd be another really good signing if they could pull it off. His numbers are phenomenal over in Russia. So yeah, I think there is an area they need to improve. Whether it's Finn Azaz, I don't know, but I do like the thought of Azaz because from what I've seen of him, he looks a good player.
Yeah, did score against Norwich at the weekend, and he did put on a show coming back from injury. There was just what I just wanted to touch on Matheus Fernandes because obviously we're talking about
Mm,
creative number tens. I always saw Matheus Fernandes as this sort of creative spark in the Southampton side. Has he
yeah.
just not adapted to life in the Championship? Is he playing more of a deeper role at the minute?
Yeah, I'm not sure what Fernandez's best role is. Look, a lot of fans at Southampton will be absolutely gutted to see him go. He's a good player, a really good player, and he was with us last season, so he went down last season with us. He runs around a lot. He's box to box. He works really hard. Um, Breaks play up, makes tackles. His pass completion rate's superb, but he's not creative. He's not a sparkle. He's not the sort of player that's going to open a defence up. He's not the sort of player that's going to score loads of goals. He's not going to pick the ball up and run with it. James Ward-Prowse was very good at completing 5, 10, 15-yard passes. And he does that really well, very similar to James, but he doesn't really, for me, he never, he just, he's like an 8 out of 10 every game, really, Fernandez just doesn't score enough goals. His body language actually Saturday was really off. I got to be honest. I watched him in the warm up. I thought, Joe, he's not quite doesn't doesn't quite look himself, and I don't give the ball away a lot during the game. He tried too hard at times. I think there's no doubt that he's got an agent in his ear that's probably trying to engineer him a move because it'd be good for the agent. And he's not a massive earner at Southampton. He's on like 20 grand a week. In terms of football terms, it's not massive. He could probably go and earn treble that somewhere. So I think I think Saints would be looking, and I think he'd be looking as a player to get out. I think he will go. I just think it's where and who, you know, what Premier League team's going to pay 30 million for him, 35 million for him. I'm not sure there's many that would do it. I think West Ham seem the club that really want him, but they look like a bit of a basket case at this moment in time. So would you want to go to West Ham? I'm not sure it would be the perfect move, but it's all about this. If he's gonna go from 20 grand a week to 60, 70 grand a week, it's a big difference, isn't it? So it all comes down to money, and it all comes down to how proactive that agent is in the background. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, of course. It is sort of at that point with Championship football fans that we want the
Mm,
window just to shut so
mm,
we can keep our key players because I keep scrolling up Twitter every 5 minutes. Is there any Josh Sargent links going on? Still, luckily, nothing, and we're
mm.
still keeping hold of him. But that the window needs to shut ASAP for me.
Yeah, I'll be glad when it's all over and done and dusted. I'll be really, really glad. Tell me about George Long, by the way. Has he played much football for Norwich? Is he a good number two? Or not really?
No, he's no, he's so when we signed him from Millwall, he was Millwall's number one the season prior. And
Yeah.
I was quite excited by the signing when we initially brought him in. I was thinking,
Mm,
okay, we brought in Millwall's number one as our backup goalkeeper. Like that's a decent signing.
mm,
And I think every time he's played, he's got a mistake in him. The amount of goals he's gifted away, just his distribution is poor, his shot stopping is poor.
mm,
Yeah, he just wasn't a good fit at Norwich, and somehow last season because he was a good character in the dressing room, which I think
mm,
is the one of the main positives that comes with George Long is that he is a really good character to have around in the dressing room. He earned
mm.
himself a 3 year deal with an extra 3 year deal with Norwich, and that was only about 9 months ago, and now we're trying to offload. Yeah, he's not an excellent goalkeeper, if I'm perfectly honest. But
You
yeah, no,
seem ready to let him go, and they're letting him explore his options. There's rumors that we're talking to him. Do you think there's a world where Josh Sargent stays now? Do you feel confident that he stays with Norwich this season?
yeah, no, I think there is a growing sense of confidence around Josh Sargent staying at the minute. I think it's the sort of the quiet aspect around him at the minute. There's not a lot of noise. Obviously, there was that about a month ago. He was very close to signing for Wolfsburg, but Josh Sargent himself said no. The deal was agreed between the clubs.
Mm,
So that was all done, but it was Josh Sargent himself that said no, and he's been given the captain's armband. He's been constantly being photos of him being posted across the club's media accounts. He's on the form of his life at the minute as well.
yeah.
So from that aspect, looking from the outside in, I'm just thinking, surely he can't go, not this late in the window. And if the club do let him go, it's an impossible task to replace a striker of his quality at this level.
Yeah, he's such a good player, isn't he? Such a, like you say, how do you replace someone like him? Who's shone this season so far? When you look at sort of performances. I'm taking over your podcast now, but I'm keen to ask you a few questions because I'm kind of keen to know from from a Saints perspective, who's been key?
Harry Darling, I think, has been one of the
Great player.
standouts. He's probably one of the best centre backs I've seen at the club in years. Norwich are not known for having top quality centre backs, and to have one who's so composed on the ball, a great passer, reads
Mm,
the game really well, doesn't mind the tackle, can score goals. He's sort of an all rounder. And
mm,
it's just so refreshing and encouraging to see that sort of level of defender at the club. I think he's been fantastic since he's come in.
mm,
We've signed a left winger from Metz, Papa Diallo. We sniped him from Watford. Watford
mm,
pretty much had that deal agreed. They had the medical done. It was due to ESC slots why they couldn't sign him at the time. Norwich
mm.
swooped in, got his signature, and
Yeah.
he's been a massive threat going forward. He got 2 assists on his debut in the cup against Watford. He's very impressive. Mirko Topic, who we signed from Famalicão in Portugal, a big sort of 6'2" Balkan centre defensive midfielder.
Mm,
Yeah, he's brilliant as well. It wasn't his best game on Saturday, but he's performed in every other game he's played in. But apart from that, it's not really. Obviously, Sargent's performed really well. The two tens in behind Sargent haven't really done a lot in terms of Ciernats and Marcondes. Um, Marcelino Nunez has been good, but at the minute he's injured. Jacob Wright really hasn't done it for me at the minute. He obviously got sent off at the weekend, so he'll be on
saw
a
that. Yeah.
3 game ban now. Defensively, we've had Jakov Medic, who just hasn't been up to scratch. Signed him from Ajax in the summer. Jose Cordoba was with us last season, wasn't great last season.
Mm,
He's been okay, but just a bit shaky in parts. I think he's used to playing in the back three. And then the goalkeeper, Kovacevic, I described him in my match review of the Middlesbrough game. He's the definition of chaos. He was
yeah.
excellent against Portsmouth away, got the Man of the Match award, saved a penalty, made multiple match-winning saves, and then Middlesbrough game, the amount of times he lost, he come out of his box, he's 30 yards out from goal, he pretty much gives a Middlesbrough player the ball, and he almost gets lobbed from the halfway line is ridiculous. It happened about 3 times during the game. It was yeah, he is definitely the definition of chaos.
Yeah. Good win at Portsmouth, by the way. Thank you for that.
No
As a
worries.
as a Saints fan, we was delighted to see you win that game. I was watching it from a distance. I did see glimpses of it. I think Portsmouth. I didn't think it was great on the day. So the ball was in the air quite a lot from a Portsmouth point of view. They didn't play. They're trying to play more football this year, I think, but
Yeah.
they find it very difficult to do. They were so slow at times. And Norwich, what were you like 2-0 up inside 16 minutes? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the issue with us. We were 2 up inside 16 minutes, and we had opportunities to kill the game off. 3-4
Mm.
nil. See you later. We'll go home with 3 points. But no, it was the fact that we were just happy to hold on to that 2-0, and
Yeah.
just second half we became a lot more defensive. The substitutions were a lot more defensive, and we just allowed Portsmouth to bring the pressure onto us. And yeah, in the end, we were very lucky to escape with all 3 points.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It did look that way in the end.
Yeah. But yeah, just going sorry, back onto to Tuesday's game. We'll just finish up here with the score predictions
Mm.
for it. What do you reckon the score's going to be tomorrow night?
I don't feel particularly confident for
Oh,
some reason. I don't know why. I didn't like the way I felt when I left St Mary's on Saturday. I always like to back my team, but depends on how strong Norwich go. And I'm not sure how strong they go. I think we'll go quite strong. I think it'll probably end up going to pens. I don't think it'll be loads of goals in it from our side because we don't score loads of goals. I won't be at all surprised to see it go to a penalty shootout. Saints to edge it on pens in my heart. With my head, we get beaten 1-0.
see, I've gone a very similar route to you. Again, I think
Mm,
it's going to go to pens. I think both sides are in very sort of similar positions, and I think the conversation we've had today is very evident of that in terms of we're both new manager trying to figure out new systems,
mm.
um, and in that aspect, I've gone with a 1-1 draw and just with my heart following Norwich on the penalty
Yeah,
shootout. But Martin, thank you very much for coming on Bleed Norwich today. It's been a
it's
pleasure
been a
having you
pleasure.
on.
Yeah, it's been great to be here. I wish you all the best for the season. Great club, Norwich. Really, really good club, and I really hope it's a good season. Looking forward to the games against you as well. Not coming tomorrow night's a big day because I've never been to Carrow Road. I've never been. I really want to go. So hopefully I'll get the opportunity to come up in the league game. But all the best for the season to you and your fan base.
And likewise to Southampton as well. Thank you very much.